I Know What You Did Last Wednesday, Part 6. More murder. Eric Draper, Brenda Blake, or Mark Tyler. It was early evening, and Tim and I had gone for a walk, supposedly to clear our heads. But the truth was, I wanted to be alone with him, and somehow I felt safer away from the house. It struck me that all of the deaths had taken place inside or near the building, and if we stayed too close to the house, something else might strike me. A falling piano, or a model of the Taj Mahal, for example. I glanced at the piece of paper I was holding in my hand. I had made a few notes just before we left. Rory McDougal, killed with a sword. Sylvie Binns, poisoned. Janet Rhodes, stabbed with Eiffel Tower. Libby Goldman, knocked down with a globe. There was a pattern in there somewhere, but I just couldn't see it. Maybe some fresh air would help after all. I've got an idea, Tim said. Go ahead, Tim, I said. Maybe I could swim back over to the coast and get some help. We were sitting on the jetty. Today the sea was flat and the waves caught as if in a photograph. I could just about make the mainland, a vague ribbon lying on the horizon. The sun was setting fast. How many of us would it see it rise again? I shook my head. No, Tim, it's too far. It can't be more than 5 miles. Oh, and you can't swim. Oh, yes, I've forgotten. He glanced at me. But you can. I can't swim 5 miles, I said. The water's too cold, and there's too much of it. No, our only hope is to solve this before the killer strikes again. You're right, Nick. Tim closed his eyes and sat in silence for a minute. Then he opened them again. Maybe we can get one of the others to swim. One of the others is the killer, I said. I saw someone out on the terrace wearing a skeleton mask. I don't know how they managed to disappear so quickly, but I wasn't imagining it. Brenda saw them too. Maybe it was Mark. He's a fast mover. And just now, when Libby Goldman was killed, someone must have climbed up onto the roof. I thought back. Brenda was out of breath when she came into the garden. She could have been singing. I doubt it. She could have been running. She drops the globe, then runs all the way downstairs. A seagull flew overhead, crying mournfully. I knew how it felt. I almost wanted to cry myself. What's missing is the motive, I went on. Think back, Tim. You were at school with these people. There are only 3 of them left, Brenda, Mark and Eric. Would any of them have any reason to kill the rest of you? Tim sighed. The only people who ever threatened to kill me, he said, were the teachers. My French teacher once threw a piece of chalk at me, and when that missed, he threw the blackboard. How did you get on with Mark Tyler? We were friends. We used to play conkers together. He scratched his head. I did once miss the conker and break 3 of his fingers, but I don't think he minded too much. How about Brenda Blake? Tim thought back. She was in the school choir, she said. She was also in the rugby team. She used to sing in the scrum. He scratched his head. We used to tease her a bit, but it was never serious. Maybe she didn't agree. The waves rolled in towards us. I looked out at the mainland, hoping to catch sight of Horatio Randall and his boat, the Silver Medal. But the sea was empty, darkening as the sun dipped behind it. What had the old fisherman said when he dropped him off? When he dropped us? I'll be back in a couple of days. It had been Wednesday when we arrived. He might not return until the weekend. How many passengers would there be left waiting for him? How about Eric Draper? I asked. What about him? He could be the killer. It would have to be someone strong to carry the globe up to the roof in the first place. Can you remember anything about him? Tim laughed. He was a great sport. I'll never forget the last day of term, when 7 of us pulled off his trousers and threw him into the canal. What? I exclaimed. You pulled off his trousers and threw him into the canal? Why? Well, he was head boy, and he'd always been bossy. It was just a bit of fun, except that he nearly drowned, and the canal was so polluted he had to spend 6 months in hospital. Are you telling me that the 7 of you nearly killed Eric? I was almost screaming. Hasn't it occurred to you that this whole thing could be his revenge? But it was just a joke. You almost killed him, Tim. Maybe he wasn't amused. I stood up. It was time to go back to the house. The other 3 would be waiting for us, if they'd managed to survive the last half hour. I wish I'd never come here, Tim muttered. I'd wish you'd never come here, I agreed. Poor Libby and Sylvie and Janet and Rory, of course. He was first. We walked a few steps in silence. Then I suddenly stopped. What did you say, Tim? I demanded. I didn't say anything. Yes, you did. Before, you weren't saying anything. You were saying something. I asked which side of the bed you wanted. No, that was yesterday. I play back what he just said, and that was when I saw it, the pattern I've been looking for. You're brilliant, I said. Thanks, Tim frowned. What have I done? Tell me, I said, did Libby come first in anything at school, and was it, by chance, geography? Yes, she did. How did you know? Let's get back inside, I said.